Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, the various boards and committees representing the town of Grafton will conduct their public meetings and hearings via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted. I think that'll suffice.
Great. Thank you very much. We can discuss the clerk's report. Actually, we're not going to have a clerk's report because this is a special meeting. That'll be 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
We also have an application from the Unitarian Church, and we'll deal with that 2 weeks from now. So let's get right into the bandstand. Paul, you want me to make you the host for this? Would that be necessary?
We can, because Neil sent some blueprints that I have.
Good. Okay.
So, yeah, if you could do that, that would be good.
Oops.
I'll have to.
I'm popping in and out, Bill. I did get back on, and but I'll just mute myself. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Where is Paul? Okay. Make Paul host. Okay, you're another host.
All right. So Andy, do you want to kick things off? Because I know you and Neil met earlier today to do an assessment of the bandstand.
Yep, can do. So yeah, Neil and I met this morning. I pulled up a few floorboards, a couple along the edge and one right down the middle, just to see what kind of shape the structure below was in. And unsurprisingly, it was not in good shape. The exterior of all the structure all the way around is pretty rotted. And the floorboards are then subsequently also in bad shape and loose. So above, I would say sort of this project is all sort of below the waist. Everything above that is actually in really pretty good shape, I think. Neil can opine on that as well, but certainly the floor structure, the floor boards themselves, and the exterior trim that's basically touching the ground or partially covered by mulch is all predictably rotting and not in good shape.
How are
Okay.
the handrails?
Similarly, not so great. I mean, there are a lot of them that are loose. There are some that are missing. There's some that have been sort of kind of nailed or screwed in over the years. If it were, to do again, you look at this and go, to do the right thing, you should probably remove all the handrails and do new ones so that they're going to last another 50 years.
So Andy, I was looking at some, there's a few limited photos of what the bandstand looked like when it was designed as the movie prop for our wilderness. It appears that it was taller than it is now. And,
Sure.
and the handrails were, or not the handrails, but the spindles were a different design altogether. Does it look like that the bandstand was actually lowered at some point from your assessment? Could you tell?
Couldn't tell, no. I mean, it's sitting on concrete blocks. It's not sitting on a real foundation. But I think anything is possible. It could have certainly been lowered at some point, which is actually good for us because if we're going to do a ramp, it's not as far to go to get up that to the smaller distance. Yeah.
So from the video, looks like the balusters in the original rail were on a diagonal pattern. Andy had a discussion with Bob Berger regarding restoring those, and after a little discussion, Bob agreed that it would not be an issue code-wise if we were to do that. Is that correct, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, what he said was it'll be up to Neil.
Say that last part again. What did he say would be up to Neil? I'm sorry, I missed that.
So the old style balusters that are on there, the ones in the movie that are crossed.
Yep.
I asked Bob about that, and he realized that the height of the bandstand is not such that you need real actual guardrails. But he was concerned that there something with the old style would be a choking hazard or something like that. But then he said, I don't know about that. I'm going to leave it up to Neil.
So the height of the handrails on the bandstand are, well, the height of the floor of the bandstand is only about 15 inches above the grade. So if they were 30 inches, if the floor were 30 inches above grade, then we would need protective balusters and a 42-inch high handrail, but that's not the case. So we could pretty much do what you would like to do if that's the direction you would like to go in. The other thing I'd like to point out is that when we opened up the floor, the perimeter framing members that run around the 8 sides of the bandstand rest on randomly placed concrete blocks, resting on just soil or gravel, and there's no pattern to how they're positioned. They just sort of, every once in a while, they added a concrete block. So if we replace the floor system, which Andy and I both agree should be done, we'd have to do something a little more substantial than randomly placed concrete blocks. My initial thought was at least come up with a regular pattern and use a solid concrete block so there's no voids in it, because the voids in the blocks that are there now only invite moisture and rodents, not rodents, but insects and all that. So at least use a solid concrete block. I did a little research on whether we would need to install a full foundation for the structure. And it appears as though that there are 3 criteria in the building code which say if the structure is less than 400 square feet, which it is, it's 238 square feet. And it's considered risk number 1, which I need to clarify exactly what that is. It appears as though the risk has to do with snow loading and wind and all that, which I don't think that the structure has any of those requirements more than a normal structure. And frankly, I forget the third one, but it appears as though we would not have to pour a 4-foot deep concrete foundation under the structure, which is good news. The other thing that we discovered is that the posts that are in the corners of the 8 sides just go down to the top of the floorboards. They don't go down to any solid structure. And in most cases, the bottoms of the posts are rotted, not severely, but they're rotted to the point where they should be probably cut out and some sort of an epoxy or some sort of a solid base added and extended down to the new floor and framing structure so that we have solid bearing for those posts. Right now, they're just resting on the floorboards and not the best detail or the best way to handle that. Also, there's the floor joists are 2x6 is 16 inches on center, and there is a center 4x6 beam running across under them, breaking the span of the floor joist into 2 spans. And that beam is supported in the middle by two two bricks that were added underneath them to support them. So again, there should be some sort of a solid foundation under those, even if it's a solid concrete block or something other than just a couple of bricks. So as Andy said, it looks like somebody just decided that they had a couple of bricks in the middle and that's what they did. So
Very professional job.
So the upper structure seems to be, from what we could see, in good shape. There's a couple of roof boards that appear like they're rotted. It's hard to tell because they've been painted, but there's some scaling of the wood on a couple of them. The wood shingles on the roof appear to be in good shape. Andy mentioned that someone had mentioned to him that those shingles had been replaced sometime in the near past, where if we could find that information and sort of make a determination as to what their life expectancy might be based on how old they are.
It was done by the Lions Club about 3 to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's,
So it made,
Very easy.
that made me wonder if if Neil, if the underlayment that you can see from the deck, if the stuff that looks problematic, if that's just old and they didn't replace it when they went to put the new shingles on.
yeah, as we noticed, there are a couple of boards that have been replaced
Right.
because they haven't been painted, so that's probably the case if it's only 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly no more than 5 years. We could actually look it up from the application and get the exact date.
Okay, so I'll do a little research and see what the life expectancy might be for wood shingles on a roof surface. See if we can come up with a projected life expectancy for them. I had sent Andy and Paul just some progress plans.
Do you want me to show any of them, Neil, like a particular one?
If we show the floor plan, then we could discuss briefly the handicapped ramp.
Is that the third one of the 3 that you sent?
I think it may be the first one. Well,
I think it was the third one.
yeah, it's the third one. You're right.
All right, bear with me 1 second. I've got too many things open.
And nobody fell through the floor at prom pictures last night, which was good,
Yeah, that's always a plus, isn't it?
right?
All right. To Neil.
There's
where-
caution tape across the opening of the gazebo right now, of the bandstand.
Is there really?
Yeah, I had to put it across.
I see, yeah.
After a discussion with Mr. Berger, he said, if you're gonna pull up floorboards, which I did, but I put the floorboards back. He suggested that we put caution tape across the opening to keep people.
All right, share screen. Screen 1. I'll make this bigger. Get this out of the way.
Okay.
Is this the one? You want me to make it
That's
bigger?
the one. No, this is, I'm fine with this if everyone else is.
I can't read it. I'm gonna make it bigger.
Okay.
I can see it. Does the ramp begin right in front of the gazebo, the way it is positioned?
So this,
This is just a concept. It could start anywhere we think is most appropriate. I just took this point figuring that if someone's coming and needs to use the ramp, they can go up the ramp, or if the person with them is mobile and ambulatory, then they can just step up the steps and walk into into the bandstand.
Yeah.
The grade from the floor of the bandstand down to the top of the mulch area is about 15 inches. And a handicap ramp, we would need 1 foot horizontal for every inch of vertical rise. So for a 15-inch ramp, I mean, a 15-inch grade difference, we would need a 15-foot long ramp. So this indicates a 15-foot long ramp starting at the bottom and running up to where the horizontal line is at the second diagonal there. And then we need a 5-foot level platform at the top. And then we could enter remove the railing and rework it and be able to enter the bandstand at the floor level. We would need 2 handrails each side, one at 36 inches and one at 18 inches for handicapped accessibility. I'm thinking that we would build a ramp out of concrete just because it's the most permanent material to use. And the handrails, the least expensive would be to use just an 1.5 inch diameter steel pipe rail. I suggest galvanizing it and painting it. Just the galvanizing would extend the life of the rails.
How wide did you say the ramp is, Neil?
We need 4 feet between the handrails. So basically the ramp is 5 feet wide.
So I'm just trying to orient myself here a little bit. So the ramp, as you have it placed right now on this drawing, that's on the Route 140 side versus the pathway side, right?
Correct, because the pathway side on the other, on the left side, as we're looking at the plan, is we'd have to take some of the pathway to construct the 5-foot wide
Yeah.
ramp.
Yep, don't want to do that.
And so my thought would be to put it over here, take the shrubs that are there and move them out so they screen the ramp. And if we think we should add some additional shrubs, then we should do that. So
Could we, because I mean, the 140 side is so visible. And I don't know how the Disability Commission or Accessibility Commission might feel about it, but is there a way to bring the ramp sort of on the back side of it and have you come in from the back side? So it comes off the pathway and then up in?
yeah, I mean, you could slide the ramp around one or two sides. The other thing is that where the ramp starts is where all that brick paving is now. So if we move the ramp, say we moved it 2 sections up, then we'd have to extend the brickwork over to the ramp. So there's a pathway for the folks to get to the ramp.
Right. No, I understand that. I mean,
I don't think there's enough room also between the bandstand and the main walkway, the north-south walkway. I know there isn't enough room for the width of a ramp to curl around that side of the bandstand.
well, maybe not necessarily, curl around it that much. I'm trying to,
We
having the
might,
ramp so visible from 140 is for me at least, and I'll let everybody else chime in. That's a little problematic for my
Well, understand the ramp is only 15 inches high. The railings will be 3 feet above that. So, but if we did some good shrubbery screening,
right.
I think we could not hide the ramp, but conceal it.
But we could move it one section, couldn't we? Let's move it, it's got eight, it's octagonal, 8 sections. If we could move it one more section, then it would, to the, I guess, counterclockwise, and we screened it with bushes. I think that would be okay. That would just give us a little more room in front of it, that where the brick is, that maybe the ramp wouldn't sort of intrude onto that. I don't know, it's just a thought.
Yeah, it's worth it to go out there and take a look, because I think if you're walking up and down the main sidewalk, that this is probably the version of it that's going to be the least visible if you're walking. I agree with John. I mean, it's visible certainly from going by on Worcester Street. But it's kind of visible from everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an invisible solution to this one.
No, no. Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you, Andy. There isn't an invisible solution by a stretch.
I think Andy's suggestion is well taken, to go out and take a look at what's there and, better be able to visualize what we're talking about. I mean, to slide it up one section is certainly no problem at all. So, I mean, this again is just first blush at looking at this.
It's an interesting problem, because I do think that this type of a ramp where it wraps around the structure is the best way to go. And I don't actually think that there's too many other positions other than this one that we can actually do and not get in the way of the north-south sidewalk. But
I understand.
it's worth looking at everything.
I'm trying to recall in my memory of just driving through Shrewsbury Center. Their gazebo, I don't think they call theirs a bandstand, and I don't think we need to take a poll as to whether it's a bandstand or a gazebo.
Because it's a bandstand.
I just chuckled when I read that. But what did they do on theirs? I mean, it's a much larger structure, and I get all that.
Right.
But does anybody recall? Because they made theirs accessible, didn't they?
I don't know what theirs did. I know Hopkinton did the same thing, and they have a ramp like this one, except it's a lot longer and higher because the floor of their gazebo is much higher as well. So it's a much more prominent thing that wraps around, more than, I think, at least half, if not more than half of their structure.
One thing I should mention is, if this isn't considered a ramp with a 1 in 12 slope, if we constructed a sloped walkway, which cannot be any steeper than 1 in 20, then the ramp would be twice as long, but we wouldn't need the handrails. But then it would wrap around almost four or 5 sides of the gazebo, and I don't think that's acceptable. But I just
It
wanted
could
to
just be a
mention,
path. It would just essentially be a path, and we could actually do that in
Similar
brick
to
like
what
we're
just
doing the rest of
church
the
is gonna
common.
do.
Yeah, that
That's
certainly is less detrimental to the look and feel of the.
Interesting idea.
I don't know about that. I mean, you're going to see it all the way around the bandstand, basically.
It can look like brick going around it.
It's going to look like a structure going around it, sure. Yeah. If we're trying not to alter the look of this thing too much, that might not serve the purpose. But again, it's worth looking at. I don't know. I could.
To me, I'm sorry. To me, it impacts it less. To me, it's the handrails that are the biggest visual cue that there's a ramp there. A sloping sidewalk and brick that matches the brick that's going in there anyways would seem to me to have a lot less visual impact.
Yeah, I'd have to see it.
Well, either, I mean, I think that we're going to have some options. We're going to have a plan A and B and potentially a plan C, because there's going to be a lot of input on this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good suggestion. I will try to get over and take a look at Shrewsbury sometime next week, see what they did.
Neil, do you know of any place that's done that with less sloped walkway to avoid handrails?
I do not. We're doing that at the municipal center in one of the entrances where the work hasn't been done yet, but that's what we're doing. So we don't have a handrail. So
We just
wanna-
approved a plan for that at the Unitarian Church right next door to the townhouse.
Uh-huh.
Exact same idea.
So you think it would have to go probably 5 sections?
You could have a path that essentially goes all the way around in brick and just have part of it be the slope part. I mean, you could just continue it and have it flat, just trying to make it look like it belonged. So it would be brick going all the way around the bandstand. And at
You
one
would-
point with the sidewalk, it's essentially right there anyways. So
But you
wouldn't-
wouldn't need any railing at all?
not if it doesn't slope too much.
Yeah.
It's 1 in 20 instead of 1 in 12, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Correct.
I'd have, visually, we'd have to see a drawing, but I mean, if you went that route, then you could go around the entire structure and it would give it symmetry.
Yeah.
Well, but not on the side by the path that goes to the country store and on that stuff.
Right.
But I mean, there's
But
enough room.
the pathway is going to be brick too, so it will blend.
I just looked at Hopkinton Common, and their gazebo is exactly what we're talking about, and they planted a row of hedges along the outside of it all the way around. So that's not a
Can you
lot.
send a picture and I'll show everyone?
Yeah, I just looked it up on my phone, but I'll
Send it to you have my work email, right? Send
Yeah.
it to my work email.
Not too much trouble, Andy, if you could copy me on that, it'd be great, because
just send it to
I'm using
everybody. Yeah.
phone, so it's kind of small.
Let's see. All right, well, I just sent it. It may have just sent you a link and not the photo, but I just sent it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I just pulled it up. I can see it.
Yeah.
I just got it. Give me a second.
It actually looks pretty nice.
Hold on one second. Share. All right. So yeah, so this is the pathway here.
Yep.
That to me isn't obtrusive at all.
But there's,
Yeah, look at
so
some of
that must be 1 in 20, Andy, because there's no handrails.
Right.
Yeah, that's his point.
Yeah, look on some of those lower images too.
Oh,
It kind of gives you a concept.
So that's Hopkinton's?
Yep.
Wow.
yeah, and they're up, looks like they're up, well, 1, 2, 3, so that's like 21, 22 inches.
Right.
So it's even higher than what we have.
So you can see also they've taken their landscape and they've burned it up
Mhm.
higher as well. So that's, again, that's a little different. We can't do that on the north-south sidewalk, but we can do it or where the brick is right now, but we can do it on the other side that faces Worcester Street.
Yeah, this one's blurry.
I mean, what makes theirs work is it has symmetry all the way around it.
Yes, I agree.
Which, yeah.
Does look like they did a nice job.
And what town did you say that is?
Hopkinton.
In Hopkinton. Now that looks nice. I like that.
Yeah, I think our condition is a little more difficult, but still worth investigating.
Yeah, they don't have a
Well-
pathway, two pathways.
I'd be glad
If we had
to,
if we had to reconfigure a little bit in front, I mean,
We're gonna be ripping out the existing brick anyways.
And we've got room in back.
Not ripping out, we're gently removing. Sorry.
well, why don't I can do another plan showing a sloped walkway rather than a ramp and send it along to you folks.
That's great. We meet again in 2 weeks, so if we could have it before then, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I should be able to get it first part of the week, so,
Yeah, because we're meeting on the 17th is our next regular meeting.
yeah.
And then we have a public hearing scheduled for the 23rd, which is the following Wednesday. And by the way, since we may have people listening, we've had to change the room for that. We were going to be in room G, but that's not set up for recording. So we have moved to room F.
I don't know that's 100% moved, Paul.
Yeah, it was as of yesterday. I worked with Joanne and Cindy on it.
I was talking with Joanne and Cindy today, and it didn't sound like it was necessarily, I think they're still waiting to hear from the school committee about what they had to do.
That they have not relayed to me. And we can't change the ad now. The ad shows F, so hopefully.
What-
doesn't-
What time is that, Paul? 7?
7 o'clock, the 23rd.
Okay.
By the way, the property owners are getting notified of the public hearing as well. The letter has been drafted, it's been printed, the envelopes have been stuffed, and it's ready to go, and will go out next week.
Great.
so for,
Even if we don't have it, like if the room had to change, even though you put your notice in the paper, all we have to do is put up a sign on whatever door to say meeting has been moved, and you satisfy whatever requirements. It's the posting that's the big issue, not the literal room.
Yeah,
So-
that makes
so-
sense. That's
so
like the
Bill-
thing.
Bill, do we want to ask Neil to draft up two designs? First being what he originally laid out there, and then the sloped walkway design as two options?
Maybe 3, John, because you had suggested moving it over just one section. So maybe we'd have 3, the one that he's got, one moved over, and then one with the raised walkway.
That would be good. That's what I would like.
Because I don't think we can move it really any further over.
Yeah,
I think those are really our, I don't, does anyone have any other ideas? Because I can't think of it.
no, I'm fine with that. It'd be good to have 3 different options.
Okay, well, I should be able to get those out to you by the middle of next week, so you'll have a little time to review them before your next meeting.
That's
That would be
wonderful.
gr-
Thank you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank
Neil.
you, Bill. Oh, one other thing. And this isn't actually so much the ramp, but when we do rebuild it, I would think we should take a look at the electrical and maybe put an outlet up high or something, because they've got, currently they've got electric extension.
Yeah,
going
that's,
all over the place.
we have a
It's a-
question from Colleen Roy, I believe it's Colleen Roy, asking about updating the electrical, which was already included to a certain extent in our existing plan. So it would be good to hear about that, because I think it's not only the electrical, but the lighting,
Mhm.
which is mostly what the electrical is there, but the lighting there is, it looked like someone posted on on a, I think it was one of the social media sites. They had a picture of Christmas Vacation where they have all the lights being plugged in.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in there this morning and Andy's trying to maneuver the ladder up into the bottom of the cupola and he was getting all hung up on all those electrical wires. So it's a real hazard.
So
Yeah.
so as Paul said, that there's part of the existing project is to do some of the electrical work in there to make sure we've got weather safe outlets in there. But I agree. I already talked to Neil about that and talked to Shepherd Engineering about improving the lighting up there for the bandstand itself, and also just to make accommodations to make sure that we've got some place that's safe again for things like Christmas lights to be able to plug into, and not just a hanging, power strip.
Power strip.
Because one of the things to bear in mind is the only light that is on the common right now is a single spotlight that shines on the bandstand. So that's going to go away when the wires go underground. So I know we're going to have, lamp posts and there'll be more lighting up there, but do we still want to have something that's lighting up the bandstand? I'm kind of thinking we might.
I would think maybe like a spotlight up in the cupola shining down.
Yeah, something like that would be awesome.
Yeah, or some uplighting or something.
LED, so it's
Yeah.
not going to
I
use a
mean,
lot of.
holiday decorations, can probably, be figured out when we discuss it with the recreation committee.
Paul,
I did fiber optic lighting at the Congo Church across the street, and so it's very discreet. Doesn't use much energy. That's they actually, I think, did some at the museum at Willard House. The David Gow was involved with the company from Rhode Island that did that work. So
Paul,
it
Where
wouldn't be
exactly
like
is
a big
the lighting, John?
Say that again?
lighting is on. The lighting is on the clock dials. So you can see the dials at night on the clock, but at the Congo Church.
Huh.
And the other point I wanted to make or ask is on the bandstand there also will be some kind of a cable TV connection to do whatever cable access, correct?
That is going to be, right now, there's a green box up there, which is where all the cable connections are. It'll be in the box that's replacing that, which is going to be along the 140 side behind the common, behind where the ramp is being talked about.
So they have access. That's good.
Mhm. Someone else wanted to ask me something. I didn't quite hear it right before that.
Yeah.
Tyler.
I had a question, Paul. So it sounded like you were asking about a light that's going to shine on the outside of the bandstand, and I thought we were talking about internal lighting instead. Are both of those things something you're looking for?
No, I was just pointing out that right now, the only light up there is an exterior light that shines on it, and that we might want to have some kind of light on it. I like John's idea, quite frankly, from the cupola, because shining it down, it might achieve the same type of result. And you wouldn't see the exterior as much, but it would light up the interior of the bandstand.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I'm not a professional in lighting. Neil, what have you
Well,
seen out there on bandstands?
We'll have Shepherd give us some options when we get to that point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the LED lighting that we're using in the library inside is really thin. It's really easy to do something like that. I think it is dimmable. It uses very little power. So there's some really good options out there for lighting that would be great for the inside of the bandstand.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. We have any more questions for Neil?
I don't think so. Not that I can think of.
I'm
All
good.
right. All right.
Okay, so
Thank,
I'll go back to the drafting board then.
thank you, Neil.
Thank
It
you
was
very
nice
much.
seeing you. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Likewise,
Pleasure.
you and John, and of course, Andy I saw this morning, but the other gentleman, pleasure to meet you, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the near future.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Pleasure to
Sounds
meet you.
good. Thanks.
Thank you
Enjoy the
so
rest of your evening.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you. You as all as well.
So Colleen, and again, I think it's Colleen Roy, also sent a note on chat just saying that there is pending legislation that may extend the OML, which is something to do with the meeting law. I'm not sure what the O is, provisions to September.
Open.
So it may not be a situation where we're going, it must be open meeting law. It may be something that we're not opening up on the 15th, it sounds like from that. But
I think
I'm
they're,
sure
I
we'll
think
hear
they're, from what I understand, I think they're gonna have like a hybrid. If somebody wants to be able to zoom in, they can.
Yeah.
Et cetera. So I think it's still a little bit in flux, but
Yeah.
I think the intent is to get back to regular face-to-face type meetings.
Hey, guys, I wanted to take a moment to just kind of address the situation from the select board the other night. Unfortunately, due to some miscommunication, I didn't get an invitation to be a panelist, so I wasn't able to participate in the conversation, although that had been our intention to be represented during that meeting, because we knew there'd be questions about what we were trying to do. And some things came up that I just wanted to correct any misconceptions. So one of the things that came up was, it seemed like the select board was of the opinion that this was a new thing, that throwing the bandstand into this project is something new, which it isn't, because we clearly had in our budget repair work to the bandstand, painting to the bandstand. It was always in our scope, although at the time we didn't know the extent of the rot. And of course, by the time we got to now, it's been like 3 years since we put together our plan. So obviously time is not friendly when you're dealing with rot and things like that. It's just going to keep getting worse. So, the fact that the repairs are more extensive than they were 3 years ago is really not surprising. The other piece of it is the feeling of the select board was that we were throwing something new in with accessibility, that it wasn't addressed with folks. But in our presentation, we talked about accessibility at town meeting. We talked about how a lot of people had questions about wanting to have the bandstand accessible. And we stressed that we supported that notion, but that the town at the time was still doing their disability study. In fact, at the time we were putting together our plan, we didn't even know that study was going on. So, it really wasn't in the scope. At the time we found out about it, now we're at town meeting, we wanted to make sure people knew that we support making the bandstand accessible, although it wasn't in the scope of the plan we provided to them that night. We did support it. And, the fact of the matter is now, we do know about it. The disability study has been completed. They have addressed the fact that the bandstand needs to be made accessible. I know the Disability Commission is supportive of making the bandstand accessible. Our bids came back such that we actually have the money to now fold that in. So I don't view it as being something new. It's certainly within the spirit of the request that we made, which was for renovation of the common. And if you're going to do renovations to the bandstand, you can't do that and not make it accessible. It just wouldn't make any sense. And if we don't do it now, it doesn't get cheaper. This is the cheapest way to get it done for the town, is to get it done now. So,
well, I mean, it's clear from Neil and Andy's assessment that that needs to be done. There's much more work to the bandstand than what was originally thought was going to be the case when the project was proposed and the town voted on it. So, I mean, that's a situation. The best we can do is present those facts, present the design options, and go from there. And have the public have their input, and make a decision based on input as to what the best path forward is, and go from there. I mean, I don't think we have any alternative other than to do this work at this point. I mean, the assessment is pretty clear.
Yep, agreed. All right. Just want to see.
But also, I mean, we plan to do work, and it just turns out that it's going to be more work. we didn't realize the extent of the rot and the need to do additional work. When just at the visual inspection, that's all that it looked like. It just didn't be painted and other minor work. So to me, this is like when you're doing any kind of repair, you do what needs to be done.
Right. I mean, you know, if we have to fall on a sword, we probably should have done this assessment when we were looking at the project, but we didn't. We didn't think that it was going to be this bad, and we wanted to, fix, repair, and spruce up the bandstand, knowing that the disability or accessibility report was being produced by the town. So, we're just in a situation where it makes the most sense to do it now.
It absolutely does. I couldn't agree more.
Totally agreed. I do have one thing that came up separately. Are we done with our conversation for tonight on the bandstand? I don't want to derail conversation.
I think so.
What about as long as we're talking about the selectmen, was the issue with the sprinkler system backflow addressed?
No, that wasn't even addressed. Andy, I don't think did you mention that? I don't recall it.
I don't think I did, Paul.
Yeah.
Have we come up with any concepts to, I know it's going to be a pretty, based on and I forget the fellow's name from the water company, I apologize. But it's going to be a fairly low impact
Matt Pearson.
design. Thank you, Bill. Do we have any concepts on how we want to hide that? And do we want to bring the water pump, fountain pump back, back onto the common in that location as a visual add?
I think we could certainly do the work and then look to do that. It's kind of hard to envision how we're going to cover, not cover, but camouflage that. But I think that certainly that could be part of it, doing that.
Screening with bushes would probably work.
I mean, at one point I thought he said that Newen was only a foot off the ground, so you could literally put a bench over it.
Mhm. Or if we're going to bring the water, the pump handle, maybe we put it like a trough kind of thing over it.
How close to the walkway is that, Andy? Because I know the Disability Commission wants to have the benches all be accessible.
Right, yeah, so it's probably too far away for that. It's probably, I think it's about 10 feet off of the main walkway.
Yeah, that's about right.
Or some of the benches going to be facing the road near the actual railing, not just facing the walkway.
I think just one faces the
Because
road.
I think all of them are that way now, near the railing.
Say that again, John. I'm sorry.
Sorry, in the car. All the benches that we currently have, either they're all right next to the railing, and some of them face inward and some of them face outward. Is that considered handicap accessible because it's not on a path, it's just on the grass?
No, that's the existing configuration. The one that we are having from the construction will have all of the benches situated along the pathways, and they will have a concrete pad that they sit on. They all face in towards the common, with the exception of one, and that one is facing the library.
Oh, they're all going to be on the pathway. I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Yeah, I
all
don't
along
think
the-
I like.
I didn't think they were.
That was the plan that we all approved. As them all along the pathway, they're all accessible, they're all on concrete pads.
I'm looking at the.
Well, I
silver
don't think
one
they
right
have
now,
to all be accessible, do they?
That's my recollection. Do you have a copy of the plans that you're looking at, Andy?
Yeah, they're not all on the path. I mean, there are several that are not on the path.
They're all on concrete pads, though.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hopefully,
Yeah,
that
just to prevent rot and all the rest of that, but
How many are situated on the pathway?
I was just counting the ones that are not, which is 8. The ones that are 1, 2,
believe there were only 10 all told, weren't there?
There's 4 along the path. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other ones.
So it's 12.
Yep.
Yeah,
Four
there
along
were
the path.
16, I think we dropped it down to 12.
All right, but they will all be on concrete pads with 4 of them being fully accessible.
Right.
Yeah, that should be enough.
Mhm.
And one of them faces 140, I think. Yeah. up by
Yeah,
the
that's the one by the library.
library, right, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
for some reason I was thinking they were all along the pathway.
Um,
So, and Andy, I thought you were going to reach out to the gentleman from the water district, and you just said his name, Bill, and I didn't hear it. Pearson, is that what you said?
Matt Pearson?
Matt Pearson. Because you were wondering if they would do the work. Was that the gist of what you were thinking?
Yeah, that's what I needed to ask. So I sent him a note and I didn't get a response. Sometimes it takes a couple times, so I'll reach out to him again tomorrow. I just left myself a note, a reminder on my calendar to call him again.
Thank you.
So Andy, do you need to have us make a decision on this picture of the lovely brick that you sent us?
Again, I sent that, I think you need to see it in person. When he gave me those two bricks today, the darker one was clearly like what you would expect. The other one was pretty orange.
Yeah.
Even though it was called, its name is a red brick, it's not, it's pretty orange.
When did you send this? I don't recall.
Just,
seeing it.
I sent it originally to your private email. Paul.
Okay, I'll check it later. That's fine.
I just forwarded it to your work email.
Okay.
So these are for samples for the brick on the common, the,
Right.
Right.
yeah, I've got it here.
Yeah, it hasn't come through yet.
I vote for the one on the right.
You're right. It was a pretty, yeah, that was, my
yeah.
reaction was, well, this is going to be pretty easy.
It's like night and day.
Preliminarily, that's what I would say too.
Right, yeah, it didn't look like a hard, like a tough.
What are they, do you know?
I had the name of them and the source where they came from is written on the side of the brick. I'll
Okay,
I'll send it
Doesn't
to you guys after, yeah.
okay.
Was
you need
They
to
look
have us
screen
look at
cut,
these,
so that's
or-
good.
What's that?
Do you need to have us look at these?
Yeah,
Do we
I
need to
think
give you a decision, or when do we need to give you a decision, I guess?
they'd like to be able to release the brick ASAP. So I don't know how we, do that. I always think it's better for something like this for you to be able to see the physical brick. But I don't want it to. I'm sure the contractor doesn't want it to wait 2 weeks. So
Do you have samples up at the library we could walk up and look at?
I can get down tomorrow morning and do it.
Sure.
Yeah, I can come by and take a look.
Yep.
I usually take a walk by there anyways.
Sure.
I'm gonna be leaving around noontime, but I can do it in the morning.
Sure.
So the other subject I wanted to mention was apparently there's going to be a meeting up on the common, hold on, I'm not looking at the right note. It was from Kevin Gallagher, and they have a meeting set for Wednesday, the 9th at 10 a.m. He sent over the accident report. You all are aware that there was that accident on the common. Bill was kind enough to send us the pictures. This must be the adjuster. He says Munitex. I assume that's the insurance company. So he's wondering if we want to have a representative up there. They're also looking to try and figure out where they can get the granite posts from so that they match the existing ones.
I told him, I responded to Paul Canoyer that I would go to that meeting. Anyone else is welcome, of course.
Well, good, as long as we have someone up there. it's tough for me in the morning to get up there.
Speaking of meetings, I had a conversation last Saturday with Craig Dolphinet. He was a little passionate about the project and the timing. And after a lengthy discussion, he's recommended, and I agreed, and I sent an email to Bill on this over the weekend. But he suggests that there be a meeting with the business owners to discuss the logistics of the project. I think he had a conversation with you, Andy, as well about that. And it was my recommendation to Bill as well as to have that, schedule that meeting. We should probably take the lead on it. So the business owners have the opportunity to have an input and understand the logistics and the impact to the common better than they do now. We did that with the work that was done in front of the country store at the time, and it seemed to allay a lot of fears. So I think that's something that if everybody agrees, we should probably recommend doing that. Certainly within the next week or so before construction begins.
So
Can we do that at the same time as the hearing?
Also, I did adjust the hearing announcement to reflect that the conversation would be about the upcoming construction as well as the bandstand renovations. So we can cover both points of that. And that's the whole reason why I was mentioning the property owners' letters. So we're sending them letters. So it's all the business owners and anyone who owns property within the common, specifically letting them know when that is taking place and what the purpose of it is. So that should give them the opportunity to attend. And we can certainly ask, and Andy, you're probably the best one to do it since you have a relationship with him. And I haven't actually met the man, but Evan, it would be good to have Evan attend that. If not Evan, then I believe William is kind of a quasi assistant town administrator.
So my only concern is, do we want to cloud the purpose of the public hearing with talking about the logistics of the project? I mean, the public hearing is really about, at least from my perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, is about the bandstand and the work that needs to take place there. I'd rather see that stay focused on that topic. And if we take an hour some Friday afternoon and talk with the business owners who want to show up to discuss it, then we can do so. I think it's better to keep it in a more intimate setting than a public hearing for that discussion with business owners.
Based on prior public hearings, it is usually a pretty intimate setting. There's usually not too many people that show up.
But my guess is this one might be a little bit more
there might be
well attended. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
John, what did he propose? I mean, what else are we going to work on it? I mean, you can't do it in the winter time.
He was upset about the timing. It's impacting one of the busiest seasons for retail up there. And I understand, but my point to him was, there's really no good time to do this project. We were also constrained by the work that the tree people needed to do and when they needed to do it.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to be heard. I think some of the other business owners just want to be heard, and they want to understand really what the impact is going to be. Again, he mentioned that he had a discussion with you, Andy, and you can chime in as well. But certainly I don't like Jay Hunter and Grafton, they have their own parking. It's probably not going to be an issue for him, but certainly the town people, business is still Townhouse, the country store folks, McManus, and is Vista Financial even still in that building? I don't even know if they are.
It's for sale.
I don't know if the doctor's office, how much they care, et cetera. But it's probably well worth the outreach just to put it out there to say, hey, we can meet on X Friday afternoon or Thursday afternoon or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll explain what's going to take place. We'll talk about the logistics on parking, where contractor's going to be, when's work's going to start, when it's going to end, for the length of the project during the days, and answer any questions and just make them,
Yep.
give them the warm and fuzzies that, we're going to not impact them, or try to impact them with the least amount of issues as possible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Craig called me, and his biggest concern seemed to be parking. So I don't think this is really going to impact parking very much. I do think that the contractor wants to close down the whole common. I think he does want to do that because in the first few weeks of the project, he's going to be ripping up all the sidewalks. He's
Yeah.
going to be trenching for all the electrical work,
Yeah.
and to try to button up all that trenching overnight, so it's safe, is just not really realistic. So I know at least in the beginning, for the first few weeks, I know that the GC, I just met with him today, they would like to close off the entire common for a few weeks so they can keep it safe. But he also said, I talked to him about the business concerns about people parking at, construction people taking parking spaces. And he said, well, if I'm closing off the common, we can park inside of our construction fence for those few weeks. And after that, I told him, the library is going to be we're going to have substantial completion at that point, and they'll be able to use that parking lot if they need to. So I think there's plenty of, if the biggest concern is parking, I think we can alleviate that here.
Well, part of his issue too was the events that take place during the summer that are big for their business are not happening. And I get that, but it's
It's not much you can
what can we do?
about.
So if we extend it further, then you start impacting the events that take place in the fall. So I mean, there's no good time, and that was my whole point. There's just no good time to do this. We can't do it in the middle of the winter.
I would
it's
think
not
that,
doable.
I think that actually the summer is quieter than the spring and fall. If I'm home on a summer weekend, I walk down to the center of town, the place is dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I really think his spring and fall are the busier part. So I would think that this would be the best time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like, it's the 3rd of July concert. It's the weekly concerts on the Common that took place. It's the farmer's market, all the rest of that. Although last year, only the farmer's market was up there. So, I mean, that was his concern. I just think it's I think we, as the commission, at least it would be my suggestion, is we take the time, offer that conversation to any of the business owners that want to have it, so that we can, answer their questions and make them feel better about what's going to take place and what impact it's going to have on them. So at the very least, they can plan.
Do that. Yep, and we want them to be on board with it, not against it. So
We
That's a
can
good idea.
certainly do that and, schedule something separate, and we can try and, I don't know what people's schedules look like. The hearing's on the 23rd. We're not going to be able to change the wording of the hearing announcement. It's still going to
Yep.
say it. So I suppose if
Yeah,
folks still have questions, then we can still take them, or we can at least comment on any conversations that we had in the interim and address it that way. But I don't know who would we have take the lead on that? Andy, do you, I think it's going to require Evan's involvement, certainly yours. We're going to need the contractor to be available. And then, those are the important ones. And obviously we will be there as well, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can put together, I could put together now what I think the most important questions are going to be and what the answers are going to be. And then, I think Evan would be more than happy to be there, and we can certainly have the GC come along as well. So we can definitely pull that together and be ready for the Q&A.
Maybe we could do it on a late afternoon during the week. I mean, that might be best for the business owners.
I'll certainly be available.
Yeah, I'll make myself available as well.
maybe
The only time I could do it be the 10th.
So we've got basically next week and the week after that. Andy, you want to talk to Evan and then maybe loop back with us?
Sure.
And then, as far as getting communication out about that, I suppose we could ask our friends in the town administrator's office to send a separate letter out for that. Other than that, I don't know how else we would communicate it to them.
How about in person? I could go and knock on doors if need be.
So we can do that,
I mean, there's not too many places, right?
right?
Yeah, no, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, when think about it, it's the inn, it's what businesses are left in the townhouse now?
Quite Fetching is there, Gilmore is there. They've got 2 spaces. Apple Tree is there.
right.
Dance It Up, and there's an Irish step dance one, McMurphy's or something of that nature. I think I may be
Tap-
missing one.
In the tavern.
In the
Tavern.
tavern. That's the one I'm missing.
Yeah. And even though they're not in the district, but they border it, probably the antique store might be worth just making them
That's
aware of it.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they're
And then
close
Craig
enough.
can certainly tell all of his tenants, business tenants, about
And
it.
that the Fisher Mansion has multiple tenants in it too, doesn't it?
I don't know. Do they have multiple tenants? I didn't know that. Doctor's office.
They did at one point.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
Well, you
doctor's
give
office
me
in
a,
the church.
once it's all set up, give me a date and I'll knock on doors.
Good.
Spoke to
I can help
Jay.
you out, Bill, with that if you want to.
Okay, thanks.
So the orange cones didn't last very long.
What's that?
I drove
Orange.
past the common, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And they had what appeared to be about 20 orange cones that all said no parking right near on the 140 side.
It was for prom pictures.
Was that what that was for?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. And they were all gone today, so.
I told them this morning.
There were a lot of people
They'd
up
done
there.
that a couple of years ago.
No one fell
People
through
complained about it, so.
the bandstand, so that's good. Andy was probably sweating that with all the people up there.
I was right across the street.
All right.
What's new on the library?
We're getting close. Another couple of weeks and we'll have our substantial completion. And right after that, furniture's coming in and then we move in July. So it's the finishes are coming along. It's looking real good. It's really cleaning up well.
Saw a picture with carpeting, which looked like it was in the basement. It's rather bold.
Yes. The carpet that's in the teen area and in the children's areas are very vibrant.
So, Andy,
That's
what
a
are they
better
doing
word, vibrant.
For the the new entrance, they have the columns. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of decorative column that's going around that ironwork.
Those are on there as of today. Yes.
Oh, they are? Okay. I haven't seen.
Finished just finished putting those in today.
Has there been any more discussion on how to camouflage the National Grid?
Just with the landscape architect, yeah. So yeah, we're still trying to work on that corner of the property. Things are so. I do want to paint them. I want to paint them, dark green or black or something like that.
Yeah, anything but yellow.
Yeah, I agree.
See if we're not supposed to, but I'd like to. I don't know. They're
Can you
just.
be arrested for that?
I don't know. Maybe they shut the power off. I don't know.
We'll spring you. We'll spring you from jail. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Would you think you'll be able to paint the bollards too, or just the box?
No, not
The bollards, just the bollards he's talking about.
Yeah,
I don't see why they have to be yellow. It's not like they're in a place where they're prone to be hit.
right. Yeah. Maybe you leave a couple of yellow rings or something to make them a little more visible, but
I don't know.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Silly.
Maybe some bushes.
Definitely some bushes.
Definitely bushes.
Yeah.
Tall bushes.
Yeah.
Those things are what, about 4 feet high they look?
Oh,
Yeah.
I think at least, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you need any directions from us on the sign at this point?
I guess finally, I mean, everybody sort of seemed like they were leaning towards black, but green would be okay. So yeah, it would be great to sort of get a final. Are we good with black? I know that was the team's preference as well. So yeah, it'd be great to get the final opinion.
Was the green,
The legs are white, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
were people opposed to that really dark green color that practically is black and to us colorblind people looks black?
I think at least, so the architect, when I talked to the architect, he said he had taken a walk around the common and didn't see anything that was, he said he likes that color, but he didn't see anything that was dark green. So that's why he went with black. He said it seemed to fit in more with what was already around.
Black with gold letters.
Isn't the Congo Church on their doors that color?
The townhouse doors are a green color. I don't know if they're quite as dark as what John was talking about before.
I guess the only thing that I object to a little bit is the white framing. I'd rather have the whole thing be dark in color, whether it's green legs and the kind of body of the sign being black with gold letters. That would look nice, I think. But I guess I just don't love the white.
Or at least the trim color instead of white.
Congo doors are that really, really dark green that looks black, but it's green.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a historic color.
Yeah, I'm okay with the lettering gold and the background, either dark green or black, but I would like to throw out there, what do we all think about the frame of it being something other than white?
Do we have a picture of it, Andy, that you can share with us again?
I think so. Let me, I can send it.
I'd rather see the frame rather than white. If there needs to be a contrast, I'd rather see it more the trim color than white.
Isn't that pewter tankard? Is that the name of the color?
Whatever the trim color was. It's that yellowy
Oh, the yellow.
ivory color.
Oh, that one. I'm thinking of the siding. Sorry.
And they're still going to do the main building in that, the windows and everything in that trim color, right, Andy?
Yeah, the exterior is done.
But what about the original building? That all of that was white, the windows and everything. They're going to paint that same off-white, correct?
Correct. Yes, that is not done yet.
Did the architects come back with the redesign on the screening?
Yeah. Our last meeting, he showed us.
Yeah, but he was going to. We had some suggestions, and he was supposed to come back to us or something.
And I know he's incorporated those suggestions into his options. So I'll check with him tomorrow because he should have already sent those out. I know he's already done them, so I'll check with him.
I haven't seen them. I don't know if anybody else
I need
has.
to make sure those get sent out. Make myself another note.
Yeah, I don't like the white.
Yeah, I agree.
The posts he has as white too, though, right?
Yeah, the uprights are white. That, beige or cream would be a little better. I mean, I don't know. I think I'd kind of like it to be dark green, but that's just me.
That might be too close to the back of the sign, the black.
Yeah, well, cream would be better.
So what is that color? I don't remember what it was called.
It's eaglet beige, I think.
Eaglet beige. There we go. Yeah, that would blend better. This it would just stand out too much.
Brad, how do you feel about it? Is he still on?
Yes, he is.
I was,
He was on mute.
I wish I had spoken up weeks ago, but I was like, I wish we had granite posts on those.
That'd be nice.
So So are these PVC? Like an AZAC or something?
Yes.
And then it's like a brass finial on the top.
Right.
How about repurposing the granite post that just got knocked down?
Yeah, yeah. We'll have
That's
a 2-footer and a 2.5-footer.
So Eaglet beige.
Should we vote on that?
Yes.
Dan, John Stevens, you still on?
He is. He's on mute.
Yes. Sorry.
Have you heard our conversation about this? The sign?
Yes. Yeah.
So you,
I prefer the green to the black and the beige to the white.
You don't know the name of that color green?
no, I'm sure it depends on which paint manufacturer you go with, but I know what you guys are talking about. We'll have to talk to the architects and pick the right one.
I mean, it just seems that green is kind of the Grafton color, I think, I mean, if you look at the school and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, it seems like green is the prevailing color for the town of Grafton.
Right. I hear you. I know what the architects did is they took a walk around the common and didn't see green, but they saw plenty of black and gold, so that's what they went with. But
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean,
They looked across the street and saw black and gold is what they did.
Hey, it's okay. I mean, I don't mind the black. I just think the green might be a little bit better. And I think I'd prefer the cream or the ivory, frame to white.
Match the trim. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
I
looking
agree
for-
with that. Yeah, I agree with Bill on that.
So I'd like to move that we vote to request that the sign, the background of the sign be in a dark green, that the trim around the sign and the posts be painted to match the eaglet beige of the trim that's on the building. And we're fine with the gold lettering.
I'll second that. So
And everybody's good with the font too?
Don't love it.
I'm okay with it.
It's fine, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. We might as well cover that as well.
All right, so who's in favor of what Paul just mentioned, that with the gold lettering, green background, and the eaglet beige frame and uprights? John Morgan?
Yep, aye.
Okay, I am as well. Brad?
Aye.
Okay, John Stevens?
Aye. If I can you hear me?
Paul?
Yes,
We got Paul?
aye.
Okay, good. It's unanimous.
Very good. Thank you.
Motion carried. Thank you, Andy.
Sure.
So you'll ask him about the screening too, Andy?
Yes. Yep. I've got a note to do that tomorrow, so he should be able to send that out right away. I know he's got it done.
Yeah, and he was doing a little redesign on the sign stand that was gonna be in the front.
Yes.
of The original that was directing people to the new accessible entrance.
Yeah.
No, I think he did that. I think he got that done as well. I'm not sure why it didn't get sent out, but I'll talk to him tomorrow.
So we meet on the 17th. So
Right.
next regular meeting.
And we'll discuss the application for the Unitarian Church just in brief. It's pretty simple. There was a windstorm a month or so ago that knocked the weather vane off the steeple, and it fell onto the roof, and it broke a couple of tiles, and it proceeded to fall down to the front of the church and damage some fascia and trim. And so they're just going to replace everything. It's not going to be changed. It'll be the same color. They've got a company Connecticut who's going to rebuild, or actually, I think they're going to make a new weather vane, but it's going to be identical to the old one.
Yeah, they actually sent it all off to match it and all. It's all
Yeah.
being done by laser. It's pretty impressive.
Somebody
The-
out west actually building it, and then they've got some replacement roof tiles, so they'll just use those. So it's
So Bill,
Uh-huh.
if this is all gonna be basic repair work and materials in kind,
Certification of non-applicability. That's what I
Yeah.
told them to submit. I don't think they did though, Bill. That was a question I had for you.
you know,
Oh,
and if they did that, then you can sign off on that, Bill.
Because I did talk to Pat Morris and he said if he by chance chose the wrong application, because he had actually called me in advance and I told him that, based on what he was talking about, the certificate of non-applicability would be the most appropriate. But he may not have chosen the right one. So
yes, you're absolutely right. I did notice that he chose the wrong one.
so he's happy to redo it. I can give him that instruction
Okay,
to resubmit it and that we can then vote on that at our meeting on the 17th. But they
Okay.
are looking, the shingles
they're
that they
under-
have are not asphalt, they're the slate. They actually have leftovers from when they last
Right.
did the roof. And they're, everything else they're doing to match. And they've gone out of their way to actually make sure that the weather vane matches the original. It's not a
So-
cheap repair because it's so high up, 130 feet, I think he said. And they couldn't even see the damage. The only way they were able to see it is the fire department has a drone. And so
Yeah.
they came over with the drone and took pictures so that they could see the damage up there.
that was news to me. I didn't realize the fire department had a drone.
Yeah,
So,
no, they had
so
reached
Bill-
around trying to figure out the solution. Sorry, go ahead.
So Bill, if they're under any sort of time frame under the gun, to get stuff ordered or whatever the case might be, if they're just replacing everything in kind with same materials and color and the whole 9
I
yards,
can sign off on
you can
that.
sign off on that on your own. We don't need to necessarily, as a group, vote on that.
Okay,
Excellent.
good to know. Yeah, it turns out they're not, but that's good to know. And but I think Paul, yeah, if you want to, I mean, I have spoken to him, but if you want to call him and just tell him that we would prefer a new application, that'd be great.
Yeah, just the correct. I mean, I'm sure I'd be happy to do that. And then if we
Yep.
can just sign off on that, or you can, that would be great.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think we have anything else, do we?
I don't think
So
so.
was it a drunk driver that took all that out at the common?
That's what I had heard. I'm not sure if that's definitely the case, but that's what I've heard.
Yes, that's what, I was with Paul Canoyer this morning. He said that was what happened.
They must have been going pretty damn fast.
It
They
had to have been.
Yeah, they hit the tree and then backed up and then took out some more posts.
Oh my God.
Were they
I'm trying to
coming
get out of
from-
there?
Were they coming from Upton?
I'm not sure where they were coming from.
And the tree definitely has to go.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Man,
Yeah, I
just
guess it
left.
damaged the main route.
By the time everything's done.
Do we know what kind of tree that was? So we can add it to our list of trees that we need? So we can let the contractor know.
I don't
That was
know.
one of the flowering trees, wasn't it?
Paul wasn't sure what it was.
Well, is it a desirable tree though? Is that, because there's a lot of random trees that aren't appropriate.
I
Based
would
on
say, it
plan.
was, yes. It might possibly be a tulip tree, but I'm not certain about that. He wasn't sure.
Wonder how we can figure it out. Is Nick working around the area? You can,
Didn't Davy Tree do a survey?
yeah,
Oh.
actually, you're right. That probably does. And in fact, it did. It listed the type of tree. You're right. Yeah, we have that.
Oh,
I need to
speaking of-
see where it was on the common to be able to know. So I'll have to
You
walk.
know
up
where
there.
the handicap access is across the street from the library?
Yes.
Right there. That
Okay.
that smaller tree. I think it's a for some reason, I think it's a flowering tree, but I could be wrong.
I think it is
Okay.
too. And then that reminds me, I'm glad somebody brought up Davy, because we have an invoice from them that, I think I mentioned this to you, Paul.
That's right.
That has been in our mailbox since January, but nobody told us that we had mail. And of course, the townhouse was closed, so.
So you can either drop that off with me or you can take a picture of it and send it to me.
Okay, which would you prefer? I can, either way, it's easy.
I'd like a hard copy at some point, but I mean, if, just to get it paid, if you can send me that, because I think the town will probably want a hard copy at some point.
Yeah,
They
I'll-
only sent that one.
I can drop it off at your house tomorrow.
Okay.
It was first sent to us. Invoice date is October 27th.
Why would they put something in our box when they know we can't get in there to get to it?
I thought the exact same thing. And I was never notified that there was an invoice there for us. But anyway,
So I will send them a note apologizing profusely, explaining what happened, and we'll get that
I'm
paid.
surprised they didn't say anything.
I'm surprised we haven't had a bunch of nasty letters. I mean,
Maybe we did, but they are sitting in
They're
our
sitting in
box
the
now.
mailbox.
I don't know.
I'll get that to you. Okay, so do we think we're all set for tonight then?
I think so.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Let me just stop sharing to make sure no one's got any questions or anything out there. When I'm sharing, I can't see.
I don't, I'm looking for that list of trees, but I haven't found it yet.
Oh, Andy, will the library available with the, yeah, all right, we addressed the questions, so we're good.
Oh, has anyone heard anything about the that concept for across from the fire station for the old DPW lot?
I haven't heard anything about a concept. They're just using it for storage for the high school right now, aren't they? For their lawnmower equipment and stuff.
The design that the company proposed, I think, isn't that what you're talking about, Bill?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. You talking about the affordable housing? Or the old fire station?
There was
The
a.
old DPW building, they want to put that.
Oh, that one. Okay, sorry.
I think it's, is it senior living?
Yeah, it was,
I think it was gonna be part, yeah.
yeah. No, it was definitely senior living.
So that, I found an inventory of trees, and that is it was either a dogwood or a cherry tree.
They weren't sure. They listed it both ways.
Well, I can't quite tell exactly what tree it was, but it wasn't a Norway maple, so it must have been either a dogwood or a cherry. I'd have to go down there with this map and check.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like from the pictures that you sent, Bill, it looks like it's the tree that's
No, yeah, let me look at
right
that.
as if you're getting onto the handicap ramp. And just as it starts to elevate. The tree right there.
How far in from the railing was it?
Maybe 10 feet.
10 feet.
Yeah, if probably less. Yeah, I'd have to go down there and look. Not certain.
It's the one with the big white X on it, Bill.
Because there's a little teeny dogwood. Okay.
Right, a cherry. Looks like a cherry to me, but I'm not.
There's an app you can get that you just take a picture of the leaf and it will tell you what it is. But it costs money. I think there's a free trial and then it was something exorbitant. It was
Yeah,
a
I think
cool
you
app,
could be
though.
right, John. I think it's probably the cherry. Because this map is, it doesn't define exactly where they are all that well, or the size of them.
Mm.
I think it was probably a cherry.
Well, it'll have to be another flowering tree.
Yep.
Cherry.
Yep.
Cherry preferable if that's what it was.
Okay. Well, let's vote to adjourn.
So move. I'll propose a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thanks. And all those in favor? John Stevens,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
myself, I, and John, Morgan.
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned at 8:32.